Hey there guys, it's Coach MJ here. Great WOD for you today. So let's get to it, right? Freezing in my garage, so I'm gonna try to make this quick. So today we've got a good WOD if you wanna combine it with another WOD, if you have some extra time, and really who doesn't? So it's a good one to double up, because really today it's not going to be so much about intensity, it's going to be more about skill work, right? So a little bit more high volume, low intensity work. And so what we've got is a 40-minute EMOM, and it's going to be a goat workout. So 2 goats alternating back and forth 20 times each for a total of 40 minutes. What is a goat? So a goat, I have read, comes from the word scapegoat. So it is a movement that you might scapegoat as the reason that you have done poorly on a WOD. In other words, a weakness of yours. And oftentimes a weakness that does not resolve itself or improve in the context strictly of a WOD. So it really requires some work outside of the WOD in order to kind of drill down, get the progression that you need to practice in order to achieve a movement successfully when it comes time to perform it. So the movements are up to you. We each have our own weaknesses, of course. What I'm going to do is give you a few options. There's a lot of common goats that we can kind of run through. So how do you deal with a handstand goat, or push-ups, or double unders, or whatever, right? We have different ways that we can approach this workout today. The main key is going to be that we have to be really honest with ourselves in terms of where we are in approaching a particular movement, right? So it isn't going to help us to do push-ups for 20 minutes if they aren't a full range of motion push-up, right? So how do we step that back so that we're getting a legitimate effort that is going to move us forward in terms of getting a better push-up ultimately? And maybe that would be filming yourself doing it. Maybe it's just a matter of sort of taking your ego down a notch and making sure that we can actually do knee push-ups successfully before we move on to the full push-up there, right? So let's look through some options there and see what works for us. And then, like I said, we'll alternate back and forth doing those. Probably not more than about 30 seconds per movement per round. And that might look like 20 to 30 reps of a double under if you're gonna do that. Or it could be 5 to 10 quality reps of another gymnastics movement that you're looking to achieve. So yeah, let's do it. Let's get some warm-up happening, and then we'll jump into some movement options. Cool? All right, guys, so for the warm-up, I like to keep it easy. 8-minute AMRAP. We're just going to do 8 of each of these movements. So if it's on either side, then just do 4 per side for an 8 total rep, right? So we're going to start off with an inchworm to push up. So we'll get into a down dog position, all the way out to high plank, push through the shoulders here, down chest to deck, back up, feel the nice hamstring stretch there, right? Then we'll go into a slow squat. So just a nice tempo squat, knees pushing out, chest up, maybe hang out here for a minute in the bottom. Sway side to side, wiggle around, stand back up slowly, 8 of those. Then Samson stretch, so deep lunge, chest back, really pull your arms back and down for each side there. Then we'll get down into a tabletop position, flat back, put our hands here, up, and all the way down for 4 T-spine rotations each side. Then we'll hop down on the belly there, shoulders or arms to our sides. Pick up our leg and pull it over, back back and forth. Let this be a shoulder stretch too, so your shoulders should be pinned down to the ground. It's a nice back stretch, but don't forget that your shoulder's there. We can be stretching that out too. Push the shoulder into the ground and feel that through there. Flip our back and do the cross. So arms in the same position, legs back and forth, like so. And then we'll finish it up in a high plank with some mountain climbers. Just 8. And knees to elbows. And then since you're there already, you can just start back at the top with some inchworms, right? If you're doing a movement that you feel needs more warm-up, totally cool. Go ahead and get at that too. Otherwise, we'll head right into that 40-minute period. So of course, one of the more common goats is double unders. And so what you might want to do for this, if you choose double unders, is to make a goal where you try to achieve 10, maybe 20, maybe 30, depending where you're at. Make it a goal that you think you can sustain, but that is a little bit challenging for you where you're at with those movements. So the one thing I will say is that we don't want to do movements that are incorrect, right? We don't want to establish any kind of incorrect muscle memory or brain neurological patterns. We want to do the movements correctly. So what that means in the case of double unders is that we're going to look not to be doing any pikes or any kicks of the legs up like so, right? The key with double unders is the vertical height of your jump. So if you're struggling to do that without bending your legs in any way, then what you might want to do instead of a double under is just to do really high single unders, excessively high single unders, or you can always do single, single, double, single, single, double, and do 10 to 20 of those each round instead, okay? So whatever you end up doing, again, make sure it's the correct movement, that we're not reinforcing bad habits. Cool? Another one of the common goats has to do with handstands, so that's handstands themselves, handstand walks, handstand push-ups, right? So a number of different things that you can do, depending on if you're working on strength or skill or a little bit of both. You can always do the pike push-ups. I will not demonstrate them because they hurt my shoulder, so you can look those up if you want to do that. Otherwise, you can always do wall walks, right? You're gonna focus there on maintaining control through our core and not sagging our bodies as we ascend the wall. I will show you that in a second here because you can choose just to do the wall walk, but you can also choose to combine a wall walk with a shoulder tap or hip tap so that if you're working towards the handstand walk, you can kind of get a sense of what it looks like to go back and forth, right? So let's try that first, and then there's a couple other options as well, right? So we will first get into a pike here. We will walk ourselves as close as we can to the wall. And then pick up our hands, if that becomes easy. We can always, like I said, pick our hands up all the way to our hips and balance back and forth like so. If we're just trying to kick up into our handstand, cool, let's just do 5 to 10 of those, right? So maybe all we're doing is that. Trying to get ourselves into a handstand position against the wall successfully. That would be a great way to spend some time. Otherwise, maybe we're doing a negative that helps us with getting the strength to do our handstand push-up. So that could look like, put a towel down if you don't have an ab mat, kick up, 3 to 5 second negative, come down, start over again. Also, if you can kick up and you want to try just holding your handstand position for 20 seconds, that's another possibility, right? And then another option could be something like an overhead squat, which is something that you can do very easily with any equipment that you might have around, like a broom or a mop or, you know, obviously a PVC pipe or something like that. But you don't want to do anything really heavy right now, but if you're having trouble with the mobility to get into the correct position when you're doing an overhead squat, now might be a really great time to practice that. Yeah, so I have here just a broom. It is wide enough, obviously. Hold it like so overhead, shoulders back and down, armpits forward, elbows locked out. Make sure that that's in a nice tight position. You're pulling apart the bar, and then you start to descend. And if you need to, have a chair behind you, right, so that you have some kind of a target. The one thing I'll say about that is that with this movement, we're looking to be in this position here with our arms slightly behind our head, stacked over, our shoulders stacked over our foot, right? So if we're using a target, we don't want to just sit straight down onto it. We still want to be reaching our butt back to get to it, then just resting there briefly, coming right back up. So there's no need to really settle into it and swing back up into our upright position, right? But it's a good thing to have a target so that if you're struggling to get all the way into the bottom of a squat, you have something to sort of mark your progress, and obviously you can continue to go lower as you get more mobility there. Certainly if you want to hang out in the bottom of a squat, that's a great way to get comfortable in that position there. And as you build up your ability to do that with more and more weight, you're also going to be, for example, improving your ability to do a squat snatch and feeling comfortable with being in that position with load overhead, right? So that's another great option for today's workout. All right, guys, so another thing that we might want to look at is our pistols, which is basically just a single leg squat. So we don't see a lot of these in workouts, but it's a good sign. It's a good marker of strength and stability, so it's a worthwhile thing to master. So I'm going to try a couple of different options for scaling these if you don't quite have them yet. First, and you might not see my head during these, but that's okay. We'll get, if you have a box or something that you can stand on, this eliminates the need for the leg to be up high. So you can do a single leg squat on here, see how low you can go, and then push back up. So obviously, the lower the box, the more challenging it's going to be, because the more you're going to have to elevate that leg to prevent it from bumping into something. If you are a little bit more proficient even than that, you can go ahead and get a hold of your leg and then just try to sit to a box and stand. So you're sort of shortening that range of motion. You can go back and forth. Again, the lower that you go on the box that you have, the more challenging it's going to be. Another option, if you have a pole or something that's sturdy, you can just wrap a towel around it. You can grab your leg and then use the towel for your balance. So you've got some practice with the strength here and the stability. And then as you improve, you may be able to do without that towel as a support. All right, guys, that's it. I hope you had some real progress that happened today in your workout. And then, like I said, have some fun. Go on a 1 mile run that's real nice and casual, or even a bike ride, and enjoy your day. All right, see you next time. Bye.